Did you take a wrong turn, honey? The man was taller, darker, and he looked really odd, really dead. It was because of his skin tone, she realized. He was black. Being a vampire bleached him. Not too white, but to the color of ashes. He had on a TPU purple t-shirt, grey sweatpants, and running shoes. If he'd been human, she'd have thought he was old. Old enough to be a professor, at least. They split up, coming at her from two different sides. "Whose little one are you?" purred the pink girl. And before Claire could engage her brain to run, the girl had taken her left hand, examined her bare wrist, then examined her right one. "Oh my, you really are lost, sweetie." "John, what should we do?" "Well," John said, and put a friendly hand on Claire's shoulder. It felt colder than the liquid nitrogen bottle hanging across her back. "We could sit down and have a nice cup of coffee. Tell you all about what we do in here. That's what you want to know, right? Children like you are so darn curious." He was steering her forward, and Claire just knew that any attempt to pull free would result in pain. Probably broken bones. Pink Girl still had hold of her other wrist, too. Her cool fingers were pressing against Claire's pulse point. "I need to get out of this fast." "I know what you do here," she said. "You're looking for the book, but I thought vampires couldn't read it." John stopped and looked at his companion, who raised pale eyebrows back at him. "Angela, we can't. We're just here as observers. And you seem very knowledgeable for a free-range child. Under 18, aren't you? Shouldn't you be under someone's protection, your family's?" She seemed honestly concerned. "That was weird. I'm a student. Advanced placement? Ah. Well then, I guess you're on your own. Too bad, really, because you're going to kill me." Claire heard herself say it in a kind of dreamlike state, and remembered what Eva told her. Don't look in their eyes. Too late. Angela's were a soft turquoise, very pretty kind of color. Claire felt a deliciously warm edge of sleep sensation wash over her. "Probably," Angela admitted. "But first you should have some tea. Coffee." "I still like the caffeine." "It spoils the taste." "Gives it that zip." John smacked his lips. "Why don't you let me look through the boxes?" Claire asked desperately, bringing herself back from the edge of whatever that was. The vampires were leading her through a maze of boxes and crates, all marked with red X's and initials. "You've got to let humans do it, right? If you can't read the book, what makes you think you could read it, little one?" Angela asked. She had a buttery, soft accent. Not quite Californian, not quite Midwest, not quite anything. Old. It sounded old. "Are you a scholar of languages as well?" No. But I know what the symbol is that you're looking for. I can recognize it." Angela reached down and drew her fingernails lightly over the skin of Claire's inner arm, looking thoughtful. "No, I don't have the tattoo, but I've seen it." She was absolutely shaking all over, terrified in a distant sort of way, but her brain was racing, looking for escape. "I can recognize it. You can you? You can't even draw it." Angela's fingernails dug in just a bit, warming. "Don't be smart, little girl. One of the kind of people you should mock." "I'm not mocking. You can't see it. That's why I haven't found it. It's not just that you can't read it, right?" Angela and John exchanged looks. Again, silent and meaningful. Claire swallowed hard, tried to think of anything that might be a good argument for keeping her unbitten. Maybe if I don't drink any tea or coffee? And spared a thought for just how pissed off Shane was going to be if she went and got herself killed. On campus, in the middle of the day. The vampires turned a corner of boxes, and there in an open space was a door that didn't lead out onto any stairwell. She'd seen an elevator with a down button, a battered school-issued desk and chair, and "Professor Wilson?" she blurted. He looked up, blinking behind his glasses. He was her classics of English literature professor. Tuesdays and Thursdays at 2. And although he was boring, he seemed to know his stuff. He was a faded-looking man, all grey, thin grey hair, faded grey eyes, with a tendency to dress in colours that bleached him out even more. Today it was a white shirt and grey jacket. "Ah, you're..." He snapped his fingers 2 or 3 times. "In my intro to English, Shakespeare, classes of English lit." "Right, exactly." They changed the title occasionally, just to fool the students into taking it again. "Newburgh, isn't it?" Right in his eyes. "You weren't assigned here to help me, were you?" Light dawned, maybe letting mistakes impressions. "Yes, I was. By Miss Sampson." Miss Sampson was the young lady of the English department. Everyone knew that. Nobody questioned her. As excuses went, this one was thinner than paper, but it was all she had. I was looking for you. And the door was open? John asked, looking down at her. She kept her eyes firmly fixed on Professor Wilson, who wasn't likely to hypnotize her into not lying. Yes, he said firmly. It was open. The only good thing about the canister on her back was that at least it looked like something for a college student might carry around, with soup or coffee or something in it, and it didn't exactly look like something to break locks. By now the liquid nitrogen in the lock would have sublimated into the air and all evidence was gone, she hoped. Well then, Wilson said and frowned at her. Better sit down and get to work, Newberg. We have a lot to do. You know what you're looking for. Yes, sir. John let go of her shoulder. After a reluctant second, Andrew released her too, and Claire went to the desk, dragged up a wooden chair, and carefully placed her backpack and canister on the floor. Coffee? John asked hopefully. No, thank you, she said politely, and pulled the first stacked volume toward her. It was interesting work, which was weird, and the vampires became less and less frightening the more she was in their company. Angela was a fidgeter. Always tapping her foot or relentlessly braiding her hair or straightening stacks of books. The vampires seemed assigned only as observers. As Professor Wilson and Claire finished each mountain of books, they took them away, boxed them, and brought new volumes to check. Where did these come from? Claire wondered, out loud, and sneezed as she opened the cover of something called Land Register of Antasia Country, which was filled with antique, neat handwriting, names, dates, measurements. Nothing like what they were looking for. Everywhere, Professor Wilson said, and closed the book he'd flipped through. Second-hand stores, antique shops, book dealers. They have a network around the world, and everything comes here for inspection. If it wasn't what they were looking for, it goes out again. They even make profit on it, I'm told. He cleared his throat and held up the book he'd been looking at. John, this one is the first edition, Lewis Carroll. I believe she put it aside. John obligingly took it and set it in a pile that Claire thought was probably rare and valuable. How long have you been doing this, Professor? She asked. 7 years. 4 hours a day. Someone will come in to relieve us soon. Us. Meaning that she'd get to walk out. Well, that was nice. She'd been hoping that she might at least slip a note out with the professor, something along the lines of, if you find my body, I was killed by Miss Pink in the library. But that sounded too much like something out of the board game her parents liked so much. No talking in class, John said and laughed. When he did, his fangs came down. His was longer than Brandon's, and looked scarier somehow. Claire gulped and focused on the book in front of her. The cover said Native Grains of the New World. A whole book about grain. Wow. I don't know how Professor Wilson had stayed sane all these years. Corn is a member of the grass family, and is native to the American continents. She flipped pages, more about corn. She didn't know you could write so much about one plant. Beside the professor, Wilson swore softly under his breath, and she looked up startled. His face had gone pale, except for 2 red spots high on his cheeks. He quickly faked a smile, and held up a finger stripped with red. Paper cut, he said. His voice sounded high and tight, and Claire followed his stare to see Angela and John moving closer, watching the professor's finger with eager concentration. It's nothing. Nothing at all. He groped in his pocket, came out with a handkerchief, and wrapped it around his bloodied finger. In trying to attend to that, he knocked the book he'd been reviewing on the floor. Claire automatically bent to pick it up, but Wilson's foot hooked around it and scooted out of her reach. He bent over in the darkness under the desk, switched books. Claire watched, open-mouthed. What the hell was he doing? Before she could do anything stupid, that might give him away. There was a ding from the elevator across the room from the terrible of opening doors. Ah! Wilson said it with evident relief. Time to go, then. He reached down, picked up the hidden book, and slipped it into his leather satchel with such skill. Claire was absolutely sure she had seen it. Come along, Newberg. Not her. She gets to stay after class, but Claire bit her lip and made desperate eye contact with the professor. "Sir, can I go with you, please?" "Yes, of course," he said. "Come along." "I said Mr. Hargrove, if you don't like it, please take it up with management. I have a class."